Part 1. The stranded ship. The rain fell hard on the metal roof of the small repair shop. Park Do-yoon wiped the oil from his hands and looked out the window. The storm was getting worse. Lightning cut across the dark sky over the mountains outside Bizen. His daughter Yuna sat on a chan nearby, drawing pictures with old crayons. She was 7 years old, with messy hair and a missing front tooth. She looked up at her father and smiled. "Appa, the thunder is so loud tonight," she said. Do-yoon nodded and walked over to her. He was 38 years old, thin but strong from years of hard work. His face was tired but kind. He had been running this repair shop alone for 3 years now, ever since his wife June passed away from sickness. Life was hard, but he kept going. For Yuna, he would keep going forever. "Don't worry," he said, putting his hand on her head. "We are safe here." Then the ground shook. The tools hanging on the wall rattled. Yuna grabbed her father's arm. Through the window, they saw something falling from the sky. It was huge and on fire, cutting through the clouds like a burning star. It crashed somewhere in the mountains with a sound like thunder mixed with breaking metal. Do-yoon's heart beat fast. He had seen spacecraft before. Everyone had, since aliens first made contact with Earth 20 years ago. But he had never seen one crash so close. "Stay here," he told Yuna. "Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except me. But Appa, I'll be back soon. I promise." He grabbed his toolbox and rain jacket and ran out into the storm. The mountain path was slippery and dangerous, but Do-yoon knew these hills well. He had played here as a child. He climbed for almost an hour before he found it. The ship was huge, bigger than his entire shop. It had torn a long scar through the forest, knocking down trees and burning the grass. Smoke rose from cracks in the metal. Strange symbols glowed weakly on the side. Do-yoon approached carefully. He had fixed alien ships before, small ones, simple jobs that bigger stations didn't want. But this was different. This was military grade, expensive, the kind of ship that belonged to someone important. He found an opening where the hull had broken. Inside, the lights flickered red. Warning sounds beeped in a language he didn't understand. And there, in the middle of the wreckage, was the pilot. She was giant. Do-yoon stopped and stared. The alien woman was at least 11 feet tall, even while sitting against the wall. Her skin was deep purple, like the sky just after sunset. Her hair was long and silver, falling past her shoulders. Her eyes were closed, but her chest moved slowly. She was alive. Her clothes were torn and burned. One of her legs was trapped under a fallen beam. Blue liquid, her blood, maybe pooled on the floor around her. Do-yoon put down his toolbox and moved closer. He didn't know what kind of alien she was. He didn't care. Someone was hurt and needed help. He tried to lift the beam, but it was too heavy. He looked around and found a metal rod. Using it as a lever, he pushed with all his strength. His arms burned. His back screamed. But slowly, the beam moved. The alien woman's eyes opened. They were gold. Pure, bright gold like melted sunlight. She looked at him with confusion, then fear, then something else. Her hand moved toward a device on her wrist. "Wait," Do-yoon said, holding up his hands. "I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to help." The device on her wrist made a crackling sound. Then a voice came out, broken and strange, but understandable. "Human," she said. Her voice was deep and rich. "Where am I?" "Earth, Korea. You crashed in the mountains." He pointed at her leg. "You're hurt. I need to get you out of here." She looked down at her leg, then at him. She was easily twice his size. Her hand could crush his head like a fruit. But he stood there, in his old jacket and muddy boots, completely unafraid. "Why would you help me?" she asked. Do-hyun shrugged. "You need help. That's enough reason. She studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. "My name is Tari," she said. "I am a merchant, a traveling trader. My ship's navigation system failed." Dahyun didn't fully believe her. Merchants didn't have ships like this. But he said nothing. People had their secrets. That was fine. "I'm Park Dohyun. I fix things. Ships, machines, anything with parts." He looked around at the damaged vessel. "Your ship is badly broken, but maybe I can repair it." Tari made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Human technology is primitive. You could not understand my ship's systems." "Maybe," Dohyun said, "but I can try. Unless you have a better option?" Tari was quiet. Her communication array was destroyed. She had checked before losing consciousness. No signal could reach her people. No rescue was coming. She was alone on this backward planet, injured and hunted. She had no choice. "Very well," she said. "Try." Getting her out of the ship was hard. Tari was heavy, much heavier than a human her size would be. Dohyun had to build a simple cart from wreckage to move her. It took hours. By the time they reached his shop, the sun was rising. Yuna was asleep on the chair when they arrived. She woke up when the door opened and screamed when she saw the giant purple alien. "Yuna, it's okay," Dohyun said quickly. "She's hurt. She's a friend." Yuna stopped screaming. She looked at Tari with wide eyes. Tari looked back at the tiny human child, unsure what to do. In her world, children were kept away from her. They were trained separately, raised by servants. She had never simply met one. "You're really big," Yuna said. "Yes," Tari replied. "Are you hungry?" "Appa made soup yesterday. It's really good." Tari blinked. No one had ever offered her food so casually. In the sovereignty, every meal was a political event. Every bite was tested for poison. But this child, this tiny human girl with messy hair and missing teeth, was offering her leftover soup. Yes, Tari said. "I am hungry." Yuna smiled and ran to get the soup. Dohyun helped Tari settle onto the floor. She was too big for any furniture. As she watched the little girl warm up the soup on an old stove, Tari felt something strange in her chest, thought she had commanded fleets. She had attended ceremonies with thousands bowing before her. She was the heir to 40,000 worlds, the wealthiest being in 3 galaxies. But no one had ever simply been kind to her. Not like this. Part 2. The impossible repair. 2 weeks passed. Dohyun worked on Tari's ship every day from sunrise to late night. He walked up the mountain each morning with his toolbox, studied the alien technology, and tried to understand how it worked. It was not easy. The ship's systems were hundreds of years more advanced than anything on Earth. The power source alone used principles that human scientists were only beginning to imagine. The navigation computer had more processing power than every machine in Korea combined. But Dohyun did not give up. He never gave up. He sat inside the broken ship for hours, tracing wires and studying connections. He could not read the alien language, but machines had a universal logic. Power flows from here to there. This part connects to that part. When something breaks, the break leaves a mark. On the 3rd day, he found the main problem. A critical component in the reactor had cracked during the crash. Without it, the ship could not generate enough power to fly. "This part is destroyed," he told Tari that evening. She was sitting in his shop, her injured leg wrapped in bandages that Yuna had helped apply. "I cannot make a new one. Your technology is too advanced." Tari nodded. She had expected this. "Then there is nothing to be done." "I didn't say that." Dohyun pulled out a piece of paper covered in drawings. "I cannot make the same part, but maybe I can make something that does the same job. Different design, same function." Tari leaned forward, interested despite herself. Explain. Do-hyun showed her his drawings. He had sketched out a system using Earth components, parts he had in his shop or could get from the city. It was rough and ugly compared to the elegant alien technology. But the math worked. He had checked it 5 times. This is impossible, Tari said, studying the drawings. These materials are inferior. The tolerances are wrong. It cannot work. Maybe, Do-hyun said. But I want to try. Tari looked at him. This human was strange. He was small and weak, and his life was short. He had no advanced education, no fancy tools, no support from anyone. Yet, he sat here, proposing to fix a ship that her own engineers would struggle with. Why? She asked. Why do you work so hard for this? I have nothing to give you. Do-hyun was quiet for a moment. Then he looked at Yuna, who was sleeping on a small bed in the corner of the shop. 3 years ago, my wife got sick, he said. The doctors said there was nothing they could do. Too expensive, too complicated, too late. Everyone told me to give up, to accept it. He paused. I didn't accept it. I worked 3 jobs. I sold everything we had. I tried everything possible and many things that seemed impossible. Did it work? Tari asked softly. No, Do-hyun said. She died anyway. But I learned something important. Giving up is easy. Trying is hard. I would rather try and fail than give up and never know. Tari was silent. In her world, failure was not allowed. Princes and princesses did not try things that might not work. They calculated, planned, and only acted when success was certain. The idea of trying something just because it might work, even if it probably wouldn't, was completely foreign to her. Over the next 10 days, Do-hyun built his impossible solution. He welded earth metals to alien alloys. He connected human wires to alien circuits. He made adapters and converters and bridges between 2 completely different technologies. Tari watched him work whenever she could. She was healing fast. Her species recovered quickly from injuries. Soon she could walk again, though she had to bend down to fit inside the shop. She began helping with the repairs, holding parts in place while Do-hyun welded, translating alien symbols when she could. They talked while they worked. Tari learned about Do-hyun's life, his childhood in these mountains, his marriage to June, the happy years before her sickness, the hard years after. She learned about his dreams for Yuna, his hopes that she would have a better life than his. Do-hyun learned little about Tari. She said she was a merchant, that she traveled alone, that she had no family. He knew she was lying, but he did not push. Everyone had things they wanted to keep hidden. Meanwhile, Yuna became Tari's shadow. The little girl had no fear of the giant alien. She asked endless questions, showed Tari her toys, made her watch human cartoons on an old screen. One afternoon, she spent 2 hours braiding flowers into Tari's silver hair. Tari did not understand why she allowed this. On her homeworld, no one touched her without permission. No one spoke to her without formal address. She was High Princess Tarasendri Valorn, heir to the greatest empire in 3 galaxies. Servants bowed when she passed. Generals trembled at her words. But here, sitting on a dirty floor while a 7-year-old girl put flowers in her hair, she felt something she had not felt in centuries. Peace. On the 14th day, Do-hyun finished his work. The reactor hummed to life with a rough, uneven sound, completely different from its original smooth tone. But it was working. Power flowed through the ship's systems again. Tari stood in the engine room, staring at the jury-rigged machinery. Earth parts mixed with alien technology in ways that shouldn't work, but somehow did. It was ugly. It was crude. It was also brilliant. How did you do this? She asked. Do-hyun shrugged, wiping sweat from his forehead. Things break. I fix them. That's all I know. No, Tari said. This is more than fixing. This is creation. You saw a problem that had no solution and invented one. My own engineers could not have done this. Do-hyun looked embarrassed. It's not that impressive. The ship still needs a lot of work. Navigation is dead. Communications are broken. You can fly, but you can't go far or call anyone. But I can fly, Tari said. That is more than I had before. That night, Tari offered to pay Do-hyun. She had a small amount of sovereign currency worthless on Earth, but she could convert it somehow. She could give him enough money to buy a better shop, a bigger house, the best education for Yuna. Do-hyun shook his head. I don't need all that. Just enough to cover Yuna's school fees for next year. That would be helpful. Tari stared at him. She had seen humans on other worlds, greedy, desperate, always wanting more. This one had saved her life and fixed her ship, and he asked for almost nothing. You could ask for anything, she said. Do you understand that? I can give you wealth beyond imagination. I don't need wealth beyond imagination, Do-hyun said. I need my daughter to have a good life. That doesn't take much. Just time, love, and maybe some school fees. On Tari's belt was a small object, a broken piece of metal that had fallen during the crash. Her royal sigil. Do-hyun had found it and returned it without a second glance. He had no idea that this small piece of metal was worth more than his entire planet's economy. It represented the authority of the Oran throne, a symbol that made governors kneel and armies march. He had just handed it back like it was a lost button. Tar. I looked at this human. This simple mechanic with oil on his hands and love in his heart, and felt something shift inside her. For the first time in her long, long life, she wondered if maybe she had been measuring value all wrong. Part 3. The assassins arrived. The morning was cold and quiet. Do-hyun woke early, as always, and started making breakfast for Yuna. Rice, eggs, and some vegetables from the small garden behind the shop. Simple food, but made with care. Tar. I was already awake. She never seemed to sleep much. She sat outside the shop, watching the sunrise over the mountains. The light painted the sky in colors of orange and pink. She had seen sunrises on 1,000 different worlds, but this one felt special somehow. Yuna came running out, still wearing her pajamas. She sat next to Tari and leaned against her leg. The sky is pretty today, Yuna said. Yes, Tari agreed. It is. Will you stay with us forever? Tari was quiet. She knew she could not stay. Her empire needed her. Her duty waited. But looking at this little girl, she wished things were different. I cannot stay forever, she said gently. But I will stay as long as I can. 3 ships appeared in the sky without warning. They came fast, dropping from orbit like falling stars. Black and angular with no markings. Military vessels. Tari knew them immediately. Void-sworn hunters. The deadliest assassins in the galaxy, sworn to the rival faction that wanted her dead. They had found her. Get inside, Tari shouted. She grabbed Yuna and ran toward the shop. Do-hyun saw them coming and understood instantly. He had seen enough news about alien conflicts to recognize an attack. The shelter, he yelled. Under the floor. Years ago, when Yuna was born, Do-hyun had built a small underground room beneath the shop. Korea's history had taught him that safety was never guaranteed. The shelter was small but strong, hidden under a heavy metal plate. He pulled open the plate. Yuna, get in. Now. But Appa, now. The girl jumped into the shelter. Do-hyun looked at Tari. You too. Hide. Tari shook her head. They are here for me. If I hide, they will destroy everything to find me. Your home. Your daughter. She stood tall, her golden eyes hard. I will not let that happen. The first ship landed in front of the shop. Two void swans stepped out. They were tall, not as tall as Tari, but bigger than humans. Their skin was gray, their eyes red. They wore black armor that seemed to drink the light. Each carried weapons that hummed with deadly energy. "High Princess Tarasendri Valoran," one of them said. His voice was cold. "You are far from home." Do-Hyun's eyes went wide. "Princess? High Princess?" Tari stepped forward, placing herself between the assassins and the shop. "Void Swan dogs. Your masters send you to do their dirty work?" "Our masters offer you a choice," the second assassin said. "Come with us quietly and the humans live. Resist, and we burn this world to ash." Tari's answer was instant. A bracelet on her wrist glowed, and a blade of pure light appeared in her hand. A plasma sword, the weapon of Arn royalty. Before the assassins could react, she moved. Do-Hyun had never seen anyone move so fast. Tari was a blur of purple and silver, her blade cutting through the air like lightning. The first assassin raised his weapon too slow. Her sword took his arm, then his head. The second assassin managed to block one strike, two strikes. But the third opened his chest. 2 down in seconds. But there was a third. He had circled around, coming from behind while his partners distracted her. Do-Hyun saw him first, a shadow moving toward Tari's back, weapon raised for a killing blow. There was no time to warn her, no time to think. Do-Hyun grabbed the first thing he could find, a welding torch in one hand, a heavy pipe wrench in the other. He ran at the assassin and tackled him from behind. It was like hitting a wall of stone. The assassin barely moved. He turned annoyed and backhanded Do-Hyun across the face. The human flew through the air and crashed into the side of the shop. He felt his ribs break. Pain exploded through his body. But those few seconds were enough. I spun around. Her blade sang through the air. The third assassin's head fell before he could finish raising his weapon. Silence. I stood among the bodies, breathing hard. Then she saw Do-Hyun. "No," she whispered. She ran to him, dropping to her knees. Blood came from his mouth. His eyes were unfocused. His breathing was shallow and wrong. "Human," she said, her voice breaking. "Do-Hyun, why? Why would you do that?" Do-Hyun coughed, and more blood came. He looked up at her with eyes full of pain but no regret. "You're Yuna's friend," he said weakly. "That's enough." Tari felt something she had not felt in centuries. Tears, real tears, forming in her golden eyes and falling down her purple cheeks. In all her years, through all the plots and betrayals of court life, she had never cried. But now, watching this human dying for her, she could not stop. "You fool," she said. "You stupid, brave, wonderful fool. You knew you could not win. You knew he would kill you." "Maybe," Do-Hyun whispered. "But I had to try." Yuna's voice came from the shelter. "Appa, appa." The little girl climbed out and ran to her father. She saw the blood and started crying. Tari held them both, the dying man and his daughter, and felt her heart breaking in ways she did not know were possible. "I have to tell you something," Tari said. "I am not a merchant. I am High Princess Tarasendri Valoran, heir to the Arn sovereignty. I rule an empire of 40,000 worlds. I am the wealthiest being in 3 galaxies. And I've been lying to you since we met." Do-Hyun looked at her. Despite the pain, despite the blood, he smiled. "Does that mean the repair bill goes up?" Tari laughed. It was a broken, crying laugh, but it was real. She held his hand tighter. "I can save you," she said. "My ship, the communication array. You fixed enough of it. I can send the signal. My people will come. They have medicine that can heal anything. Please, just hold on." Dahyun's eyes were closing. Save, Yuna. Promise me. I will save you both. I swear it on my throne, on my empire, on everything I am. Just hold on, Park Do-hyun. Hold on for me. She carried him into the broken shop and laid him on the floor. Then she ran to the mountain, to her ship, faster than she had ever run before. The communication array sparked and sputtered, but it worked. Barely. Enough for one signal. She sent the emergency code. The code that would bring the full might of the Oran fleet to her location. Then she ran back to Do-hyun and held his hand through the long night. Stay with me, she whispered. Please, stay. And somewhere among the stars, 300 warships turned toward Earth. Part 4. The galaxy takes notice. The sky over Earth changed in a single moment. 1 second, it was empty. The next, it was filled with ships. 300 Oran warships appear from hyperspace, blocking out the stars. Each one was massive, bigger than any human city. They surrounded the planet like a crown of steel and light. Their weapons were powered and ready. Their armies waited in launch bays. The world panicked. Every government on Earth went to high alert. Soldiers prepared for war. People ran through the streets, screaming about invasion. News channels showed the ships over and over, trying to explain what was happening. No one knew, but the ships did not attack. They simply waited. On the flagship, the largest vessel at the center of the fleet, officers rushed to prepare. High Admiral Korath stood on the command bridge, watching Earth rotate slowly below. He had served the Oran throne for 200 years. He had never received an emergency signal from a member of the royal family before. We have her location, one of his officers reported. Southern peninsula of the eastern continent. A small structure near the mountains. Send a medical team, Korath ordered. And a security detail. The princess may be injured. Sir, there is a human with her. Badly wounded. Korath frowned. A human? Why would the princess be with a human? Unknown, sir. Focus on the princess. The human is not our concern. 20 minutes later, Oran soldiers landed near Do-hyun's shop. They were tall and powerful, wearing golden armor that marked them as the royal guard. Humans who saw them ran away in terror. But the soldiers ignored them. They had one mission. They found Tari inside the broken shop, sitting on the floor. She was holding Do-hyun's hand. His face was pale. His breathing was barely there. Yuna sat nearby, tears dried on her cheeks, too tired to cry anymore. Your Highness, the guard captain said, kneeling. Thank the stars you are alive. We must evacuate you immediately. No, Tari said. Her voice was iron. Not without him. The captain looked at Do-hyun. A human, small, weak, dying. Your Highness, he is. He saved my life. Tari looked up, and her golden eyes burned with something dangerous. He fought a void sworn with nothing but tools. He nearly died protecting me. If your medical team does not save him, I will have every officer in this fleet executed for incompetence. Am I clear? The captain swallowed. Yes, Your Highness. Oran doctors arrived within minutes. Their technology was beyond anything on Earth. They scanned Do-hyun's body with lights that could see inside flesh and bone. They injected him with medicine that could heal wounds in seconds. They wrapped him in a device that looked like a glowing cocoon. 3 broken ribs, the lead doctor reported. Internal bleeding. Damage to the lung. Severe, but not fatal. He will live, Your Highness. Tari closed her eyes. Her whole body relaxed for the first time in hours. Thank you. They took Do-hyun to the medical bay on the flagship. Yuna refused to leave him, so they took her too. Tari walked beside them, ignoring the stares of her soldiers. She knew what they were thinking. Why did the princess care so much about one human? They didn't understand. They couldn't understand. In the medical bay, Do-hyun floated in a healing tank filled with blue liquid. Machines monitored his every heartbeat. Yuna sat by the tank, pressing her hand against the glass. "Will Appa be okay?" she asked. "Yes," Tari said. "He will be perfect. Better than before." Yuna looked at her with those big, trusting eyes. "Promise?" "I promise." Word spread quickly through the fleet. The High Princess had been stranded on Earth for weeks. A human had repaired her ship. The same human had fought assassins to protect her. The princess had cried for him. She had threatened officers for him. No one knew what to make of it. High Admiral Karath requested a meeting with Tari. She agreed, meeting him in a private room on the flagship. "Your Highness," he said carefully, "the Council is concerned. Your presence on this primitive world, your attachment to this human, it raises questions. Questions. Some believe we should sterilize the planet. Remove all evidence of your time here. Protect the royal image." Tari's expression did not change. "Sterilize? You mean kill everyone? They are humans, Your Highness. There are billions of them. A few million deaths to protect the throne. No." Korath blinked. "Your Highness?" Tari stood. She was taller than him, and in that moment, she looked every bit the ruler she was born to be. "This planet is under my personal protection," she said. "Every human on it. Every city, every village, every child. If anyone threatens Earth, they threaten me. And I will respond as if they had attacked the throne room itself." Korath paled. "Your Highness, the Council will not. I am the heir to the Arn sovereignty. My word is law in 40,000 worlds. The Council will accept my decision, or the Council will be replaced. Choose your next words carefully, Admiral." Korath note. "As you command, Your Highness." News traveled fast across the galaxy. The Arn Princess had claimed a primitive world. She had placed an entire planet under her protection. Speculation exploded. What was special about Earth? What had the humans done to earn such favor? Some said Earth had powerful weapons. Some said humans had made a secret deal with the princess. Some said she had fallen in love with a human man. None of these theories were exactly right, but none were exactly wrong either. 3 days later, Do-hyun woke up. He opened his eyes and saw a ceiling made of smooth white metal. Strange lights floated around him. Everything smelled too clean, like a hospital, but different. Appa. Yuna's face appeared above him. She was smiling so wide it looked like her face might break. She hugged him, and he hugged her back, surprised at how strong he felt. "Where are we?" he asked. "On the big ship. The alien doctors fixed you. They said you were very brave." Do-hyun sat up slowly. He expected pain, but there was none. His ribs felt fine. His lungs felt clear. In fact, he felt better than he had in years. Tari entered the room. She wore different clothes, now fine robes of silver and gold. A crown of light floated above her head. She looked like what she truly was, royalty. "Park Do-hyun," she said. "You are awake, apparently." He looked around at the alien technology surrounding him. "This is all real, isn't it? You're really a princess?" "I am. And you are the man who saved my life with a welding torch and a wrench." She smiled, and for a moment, she looked like the Tari he had known in his shop. "The galaxy is talking about you. They call you the human who fought for a goddess. I'm not a fighter. I'm just a mechanic. You are much more than that." Tari sat beside him. "I want to offer you something. A life in the sovereignty. Wealth. A palace. The best education for Yuna. You would never have to worry about anything again." Do-hyun was quiet for a long moment. He looked at Yuna, who was watching them both. "Thank you," he said finally. But no, Tari had expected this. But it still hurt. Why? Yuna needs a normal life. She needs to go to school with other kids, make friends, fall down, and get up again. She needs to learn that good things come from hard work, not from magic wishes. If I take your offer, she'll grow up thinking the universe owes her something. I don't want that for her. Tari understood. She didn't agree, but she understood. This was what made humans different. They didn't chase power or wealth. They chased meaning. Then I will respect your choice, she said. But know this, Earth is protected now, forever, because of you. That evening, Yuna found Tari standing by a window, looking at the stars. Are you leaving? The little girl asked. I must. My empire needs me. Will you come back? Tari knelt down, bringing her face close to Yuna's. I promise, she said. I will come back. Yuna hugged her. Tari hugged her back, carefully, gently, like holding something precious. That the next morning, the fleet left Earth. But something had changed. Humanity was no longer alone. They had a protector among the stars. And somewhere in the mountains of Korea, a mechanic returned to his shop and went back to work. Part 5. The return. 5 years passed. The world changed in ways no one could have predicted. After the Oran fleet left, humanity united like never before. Old enemies became friends. Countries that had fought for centuries now worked together. Everyone knew that they were not alone in the universe, and that knowledge made their old fights seem small and foolish. Earth began trading with alien worlds. New technologies arrived, slowly, carefully. Diseases that had killed millions were cured. Crops grew faster and stronger. Ships from other planets visited peacefully, bringing goods and knowledge. And in the mountains outside Bizen, Park Do-hyun's repair shop became the most famous place on the planet. People called it the place where the princess was saved. Tourists came from all over Earth just to see it. Alien merchants came too, bringing ships that needed repair. They had heard the stories. They wanted the human mechanic who had impressed the goddess. Do-hyun never changed. He still woke up early. He still worked with his hands. He still charged fair prices and treated everyone the same. The only difference was that now he had helpers, young people who wanted to learn his craft. He taught them everything he knew. Yuna was 12 now. She had grown tall and confident, with her mother's smile and her father's stubborn spirit. She went to school in Bizen, but every afternoon she came back to the shop. She was learning to be a mechanic too. Appa, she said one evening, do you think she remembers us? Do-hyun looked up from the engine he was fixing. He didn't need to ask who she was. I'm sure she does. But it's been 5 years. She has an empire. Billions of people. Why would she think about us? Do-hyun put down his tools and wiped his hands. Some things don't fade with time, Yuna. Some connections are stronger than distance or years. She remembered. Yuna wasn't convinced, but she said nothing. She had been 7 when Tari left. Sometimes the whole thing felt like a dream, the giant purple woman, the spaceships, the adventure. But then she would look at the scar on her father's chest, and she knew it was real. That night, a ship appeared in the sky. It was not a warship. It was small and elegant, silver and white, moving silently through the clouds. It landed in the field behind the shop. Just as the sun was setting, Do-hyun walked outside. Yuna followed, her heart beating fast. The ship's door opened. Light spilled out. And then she appeared. Tari was different now. She wore robes of deep purple and gold. A crown floated above her head, not a simple circle of light, but a complex structure that marked her as something more than a princess. Her eyes were the same though, golden, warm, kind. Your Highness, Do-hyun said, bowing slightly. Or should I say Your Majesty? Tari smiled. It was a real smile, not the careful expression she wore for diplomats and generals. My father passed peacefully 2 years ago. I am Empress now. I heard. I'm sorry for your loss. He lived a good life. A long life. Tari looked at the shop, at the mountains, at the fading sunset. I thought about this place every day. Even when I was dealing with wars and treaties and crises, I thought about this little shop in the mountains. Yuna stepped forward. She was as tall as her father now, but she still had to look up to see Tari's face. You came back, Yuna said. Her voice was thick with emotion. You really came back. Tari knelt down, not all the way, since Yuna was taller now, but enough to meet her eyes. I promised, didn't I? Yuna hugged her. Tari hugged her back, carefully, like she was holding something precious. You're late, Yuna said, laughing through tears. Dad already made dinner. Did he? What are we having? Kimchi stew. His specialty. Then I am very lucky. They went inside. The shop was the same as always, tools on the walls, parts on the shelves, the smell of oil and metal. Do-hyun had added a few things over the years, including some alien artifacts that clients had given him. But the heart of the place was unchanged. Or I had to bend down to fit through the door. She sat on the floor, just like she had 5 years ago. The table was small and the food was simple, but she ate like it was the finest meal in the galaxy. I thought about your offer, Do-hyun said, eating beside her. The one you made before you left. Tari's heart jumped. And I still don't want it. The palace, the wealth, all of that is not for us. He paused, setting down his chopsticks. But I have a counter-proposal. I'm listening. Stay for dinner. Just dinner. No politics. No empire. Just us. Like it used to be. Tari was quiet for a moment. In the Oran sovereignty, her time was measured in minutes. Every second was scheduled. Advisors and generals competed for audiences that lasted moments. The idea of spending hours eating simple food with a mechanic and his daughter was almost absurd. I would like that, she said. Very much. They talked late into the night. Yuna told Tari about school, about her friends, about the boy in her class who she definitely did not like. She said this too quickly, and Tari hid a smile. Do-hyun talked about the shop, about his students, about a difficult alien engine he had fixed last month. Tari talked about her empire, about the weight of ruling 40,000 worlds, about the loneliness of being the most powerful person in 3 galaxies, about how she sometimes dreamed of this small shop and this small family. Why didn't you quit? Yuna asked innocently. If you don't like being Empress, just stop. Tari laughed softly. It doesn't work that way. My people need me. Billions of lives depend on my decisions. I cannot walk away from that. That sounds hard. It is. It is. But tonight here, with you. Tari looked at the small room, the simple food, the warm faces. Tonight, I don't feel like an empress. I just feel like Tari. And that is a gift beyond price. Later, when Yuna had fallen asleep on her bed in the corner, Do-hyun and Tari sat outside under the stars. The night was clear and cold. The mountains were dark shapes against the sky. I've made a decision, Tari said. I won't ask you to join my empire. You were right. Yuna needs to grow up here, to build her own life. I understand that now. Do-hyun nodded. Thank you, but I don't want to lose you either. Either of you. She looked at him, her golden eyes soft. So, I will come here. Whenever I can. Between duties, between crises. I will steal hours and days and come back to this place. If you will have me. Do-hyun smiled. It was the same smile he had given her 5 years ago when she was a wounded stranger in his shop. You're always welcome here, Tari. Always. They sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars. 2 people from different worlds, connected by something stronger than distance or time or power. The galaxy was vast. Empires rose and fell. Wars were fought and won and lost. Trillions of beings lived their lives across countless worlds. But here, in a small shop in the mountains of Korea, something precious existed. Something that even the richest empress in 3 galaxies could not buy. Family, not by blood, not by law, but by choice, by love, by the simple truth that sometimes the people we meet by accident become the people we cannot live without. Tari would leave in the morning. She would return to her throne, to her duties, to the weight of 40,000 worlds. But she would come back. Again and again, she would come back. Because humans had taught her something the galaxy never could. Power means nothing without someone to share it with. And somewhere in the infinite darkness of space, among all the stars and planets and empires, a single human family had given an empress something she had searched for her entire life: home.